Hi and welcome to Jothishi.com. So today we will be continuing with the Nakshatra series where we will be discussing the Uttaraashada Nakshatra. Let's continue with the Nakshatra series today,
Yes.
and like the previous times, let's take some celebrity examples and
Yes.
also touch upon it. So
Yes.
one, I think, insight that at least I would like to get is, how does the nakshatra also impact the lagna, which we
Yes.
have not spoken about. Maybe if you can touch upon that aspect as well, that will be good.
Yes. So as usual, we'll talk about Uttaraashada Nakshatra today, and Uttaraashada Nakshatra is sort of known to be the kingly nakshatra, and it is ruled by. It is also called known as Uttaradam in the southern part of the country, especially Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and then it is ruled by the Vishwa Devas. So our texts prescribe 33 devas, right? So there are 12 Adityas, 11 Rudras, 8 Vasus, and then one Prajapati, one Indra. So totally we have 33 gods. So some foreign interpreters have, so there are rumors in the market that it is 33,000 crores, 33 crore devas and all that. It's actually 33. So 33 devas. It is also represented by what do you call the Vishwarupa of Mahavishnu.
Okay.
So that is also a representation. That's also a representation of Uttaraashada. So we'll start with a small prayer, 81 to 84 stanza of Vishnu Sahasranama. So it is supposed to be very auspicious for this particular Uttaraashada, Uttaradam Nakshatra. तेजो वृषोद्युदितर सर्वशस्त्रवृताम्बरः प्रग्रहो विग्रहो निग्रो नैकशृङ्गो गडाग्रजः चतुर्मूर्ति चतुर्बाहु चतुर्व्यूह चतुर्गतिः चतुरात्मा चतुर्भाव चतुर्वेदविदेकपात् समावर्तो निवृत्तात्मा दुर्जयो दुरधिक्रमः दुर्लभो दुर्गमो दुर्गो दुरावासो दुरारिः शुभाङ्गो लोकसारङ्गः सुतन्तुस्तन्तुवर्धनः इन्द्रकर्मा महाकर्मा कृतकर्मा कृतागमः. So these are the verses which is from Vishnu Sahasranamam, which is fantastic for Uttaraashada Nakshatra. And it is advisable that anybody moving in spiritual direction, anybody moving in any research of astrology has to learn Vishnu Sahasranama, because it is mentioned in the BPHs, the Brihat Parashara Horashastra, that the planets, the signs, all are representations of Mahavishnu.
Right.
So unless you are in connect with at least once, chant at least once a day, and unless you are in connect with the Vishnu Sahasranamam, the Mahavishnu kind of a flavor, what do you call, the karmas and the planets' ability to connect with you increases if you chant Vishnu Sahasranamam. So from a Uttaraashada perspective, Uttaraashada, the planets, the nakshatra as such, is known to be the kingly nakshatra. So for example, there is a Purvashada, which is a pre-victory, and Uttaraashada denotes final victory. So the ultimate victory. So anybody with strong planets in Uttaraashada, it is so Uttaraashada, Pada 1 is also Pushkara Navamsha and Vargottama.
Okay.
So any planet, any Lagna in Uttaraashada 1 is known to be fantastic from that perspective. Very strong. So there are three Pushkara Navamshas and Vargottama. One is Rohini Pada 2, one is Uttaraashada Pada 1, and third one is Punarvasu 4, Pada 4. So these three, there are only three, and these three are fantastic from that perspective. So just to sort of take some examples, we spoke about Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Rohini Pada 2, right? So extremely Ketu there, extremely strong. So similarly, if you want to take a few examples, so we can talk about Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Okay.
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is Uttaraashada. There are two very strong planets.
Okay. In Pada 1.
In Pada 1. And it is Vargottama, and it is also Pushkara Navamsha from that perspective. So from that point of view, extremely strong planets.
Okay.
From that perspective, kind of it.
Okay.
So for example, Swami Vivekananda's son, very close to Uttaraashada Pada 1. Lagna as well, very close to Uttaraashada Pada 1. So that flavor, when Lagna is there, when the Surya is there, that means your soul and your intelligence and your physical features are related to that
It shines.
yes, and pushkara means you sort of bring so when you pour water into the plants and you
Right.
put fertilizers and all that, you
Blossoms.
pushti, you increase the
Right.
pushti, it blossoms, right?
Right.
So that is what that nakshatra, that lagna blossoms in that particular thing.
Okay.
It's a very good from that perspective. So we talked about the final victory, right? It's a victory. So there are various stories. So for example, one story wherein the Mahabharata war, it was advised. So this Nasra and Dasatya are there, the Ashwini Kumars. So similarly, there is Nakula and Sahadeva. So they seem to be sort of interconnected.
Okay.
So Sahadeva is supposed to be one of the greatest astrologers at that point in time. Similarly, Ravana is, with the 10 heads, is supposed to be one of the greatest astrologers. Apart from the Devas, Devas obviously have the insights and all that. So Sahadeva advised the Kauravas to start the war when the Uttaraashada Nakshatra is operating, kind of a thing. So this it is because when you operate on an Uttaraashada Nakshatra, it is sort of virtually assumed that the victory is yours. It's very so any auspicious activity.
It's good
is
to start
good to start on Uttaraashada 4. It's called Abhijit Muhurta. So the space between Uttaraashada 4 and Shravana 1 is sort of the overlapping space is called Abhijit Nakshatra. So there is we have a beta in mathematics,
Yes.
right? So that beta for the 27 nakshatras is the 28th nakshatra, which is called Abhijit.
Okay.
So that Abhijit Nakshatra, and there is something called Abhijit Muhurta as well. So it was advised to start on Uttaraashada Pada 4, which is the Abhijit Nakshatra, on Abhijit Muhurta, that is 12 o'clock. So anything plus or minus 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes of 12 o'clock AM and PM is considered Abhijit Muhurta. So it is, and especially if there is a full moon there, it is one of the best Muhurtas.
Okay.
Full moon plus Uttaraashada 4, Pada 4,
Right.
plus Abhijit Muhurta. It is a beautiful and fantastic Muhurta.
So from 11:40 to 12:20.
Yes, yes.
Both AM PM.
Yes.
Okay.
So 11:40 to 12:20 it's because it's the birth time of Sri Rama and Sri Krishna.
Okay.
So it is considered very auspicious from that
Perspective.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so we gave a few spiritual examples.
Yes.
Any other examples
Yes.
that you have from
Yes.
this perspective?
Yes. So Uttaraashada is one in the 9th house and 3 padas in the 10th house, right? So from that perspective, it is 10th house of status aspecting 4th house of homeland. So from that perspective, there are lot of great leaders.
Okay.
In terms of political leaders, in terms of international leaders, kind of a thing. There are fantastic. So, for example, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Indira Gandhi. So it's a very strong Uttaraashada leadership position, and a long time frame. Jyoti Basu, 2 times continuous Chief Minister of West Bengal. So that kind of a flavor is very strong. Jayaprakash Narayan, Bharat Ratna again. So that political flavor from a Uttaraashada perspective is very strong in this particular, because there is a victory there, and there is also that status and that power. Uttaraashada Nakshatra.
It's a regal.
Yes, it's a regal nakshatra, and they are very confident that they are number one, kind of a thing. That flavor is very strong. And there is also a flavor wherein, despite you thinking yourself as number one, you also think that the other people are not good enough. That flavor also sort of comes up. Yes, from an Uttaraashada perspective, kind of thing. So anything to do with real estate, anything to do with government, a lot of IAS officers. So a lot of people in healthcare, big doctors and those. So that flavor is automotive industry. That flavor is very strong from Uttaraashada perspective.
This being the 9th house and 10th house, Dharma, is that very dharmic?
It is more to do with karma.
Okay.
Because it's a regal sort of a nakshatra, and it's a victory-oriented nakshatra.
Right.
So the general thinking is, if I do something, it will succeed.
Okay.
That is the general thinking behind the Uttaraashada flavor. Yes.
Okay.
That flavor is pretty
Very
strong.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. Now, earlier we also discussed body parts, right?
Yes.
Like when we said Hasta is very.
Yes.
So what is the body part for Uttaraashada?
So Uttaraashada is sort of primarily denoted by the waist.
Okay.
So if you notice, you can easily figure out an Uttaraashada Nakshatra. if you notice this waist portion and the sort of buttocks, the bum portion of the person, it will be sort of, so for just to give an example, if you sort of if you have seen a player called Shimron Hetmeyer, he's a West Indian. So if you have noticed him, he's got a straight body and a sort of a bulge at the back.
Right.
If you notice, there are two planets for Shimron in Uttaraashada Nakshatra.
Right.
So you can be reasonably very sure. So if you have noticed the old actor Shivaji Ganeshan, so he has a typical style of walking, and it is very evident that waist portion is reasonably very evident. So similarly, Sunil Gavaskar is a short person. The waist portion of Sunil Gavaskar is also reasonably very, certain people, are good. You can easily figure out they have broad shoulders. Some people have strong hands. So this Uttaraashada native, the waist portion can be is easily noticeable. You can easily figure out that person's thing. Yes. And the animal is related to a mongoose. So it is the only nakshatra who does not have a partner. So you have a female tiger, male tiger, Chitra, Vishaka. You have a female elephant, you have a male elephant. You have Bharani and Revati. But you don't have a female mongoose. There is only one mongoose. So Uttaraashada, from that perspective, is always, sort of single from mental perspective. They always think that I am, sort of regal. I will tell people should ideally listen. And that he or she may think that people are attracted to him or her, but actually the story is the others are not very close to this particular person. So that flavor is very, very strong from that Uttaraashada perspective. Yes. So that mongoose flavor and he or she, the Uttaraashada native, may not at all realize that others are not very close to that native, and then keep on moving in that
particular direction.
Yes.
So it is very good for like spirituality and those type of things.
No, it is not necessary. Purvashada, Uttaraashada has a lot of spiritual stories, like we talked about, so a lot of famous personalities. Overall, from that perspective, it is related to material things as well, but spirituality also, it's a very
because
good,
you said more of being single, so
yes.
I assume
unless the trigger happens, Uttaraashada will not even think about spirituality.
that direction.
So if there is a trigger that happens, especially the Pada 1 or the Pada 4, then it is a good attraction to sort of
move in that particular
direction.
Yes. Got it. So we have government, politics, automotive, all of this as an option for Uttaraashada native, right? Like what are the other career options?
So legal is another option that can be pursued, and then there are options like farming. There are options like meteorology, performance, options like oceanography, anything to do with excavation. So those kind of flavors are reasonably very
like
strong for mining, and those kind of things are oil, gas. So those kind of professions are very suitable for a Uttaraashada native kind of a thing. And ideally, a boss kind of a thing, and anything to do with. So even if you are running a shop, and so for example, you are running a retail durable shop. So where TVs and washing machines are sold, the person sitting at the counter
should be you.
Yeah. So that is the preferable kind of thing. So durables is also very suitable for Uttaraashada native. So anything to do with that kind of a thing.
Then you can take a leadership role is what you're trying to say.
Yes. Right? So that kind of a flavor is very strong for Uttaraashada native. So actually Ganesh is very closely connected to Uttaraashada Nakshatra. So the representation is Ganesh with a broken tusk. So Gajamukha Vakratunta kind of a thing. So Mushika Vahana Modagasta. So that any Ganesh shloka, especially Pranamya Shirsa Devam Gauri Putram Vinayakam, that shloka is fantastic for a Uttaraashada native. And there is another story wherein the tusk was broken primarily to write Mahabharata. So Vedavyasa sort of told that he wanted, so Ganesh told, I will write it continuously, and he used to give a lot of tough shlokas so that he understands the meaning and writes. So writing again is a very good, continuous writing is again a very good option for a Uttaraashada native kind of a thing. So from that perspective, intelligence component is very, very high. So because the intelligence component is very high, because Ganesh, right? So that Buddhi, Vriddhi, Siddhi, that component is very high. And because of that component being very high, that ego is slightly.
I am better than the
Yes,
others.
I am better than the others kind of a thing is there. So ideally, if you pray to Ganesh, that is sort of dissipated and that is nullified, which is very good for a Uttaraashada native. And from a fruit perspective, if you notice anybody eating jackfruit, you can be reasonably sure that that person has some key planet in Uttaraashada Nakshatra because they are extremely connected to jackfruits. So that flavor of Uttaraashada clearly blossoms in that nakshatra. Yes.
So, as we discussed, the Uttaraashada is a regal nakshatra where one should take up a leadership position in their life. And there is always this component of, like the mongoose example that Anand gave, right? Like where you think that you are the only person around, right? So that is a very big flavor of the Uttaraashada Nakshatra, and also it brings a very spiritual element to it. Like for example, Mahesh Yogi, and also Swami Vivekananda, all of these people having the nakshatra of Uttara planets in this particular nakshatra. So if you would like to know more, and if you would like to rise to a leadership position and understand what planets are placed, do log on to jyotishi.com and we can have. Thank you.